How did a psychedelic, post-apocalyptic novel lay the foundation for one of the most visually stunning science fiction films ever made? I am talking, of course, about Blade Runner. In 1982, legendary filmmaker Ridley Scott took a book by Philip K. Dick and turned it into a movie. The book is brilliant and the film is fantastic, but the differences between the two are stunning. So, how did these changes come about? And what do they mean? Well, let's go and find out. Philip K. Dick started writing science fiction in the 1950s, an era of hard sci-fi. Basically, hard sci-fi asked, how can we look at the galaxy in order to use technology and take control over it? But then, in the 1960s, the world changed. It was an era of the Vietnam War that showed that technology could be used for brutal warfare, and also that wars could be used to manipulate people,
the war in Vietnam,
and the media.
We knew our course was right.
The 1960s were also an era of rebellion and increased drug use. And this made Philip K. Dick wonder, can we actually trust our senses? Take for an example the story We Can Remember It For You Wholesale. Here, Philip K. Dick creates a world where people do not actually go on holidays, no, they simply buy memories of having been on holidays, with people trying to outspend each other buying ever more lush and lurid holiday memories. The stories of Philip K. Dick feature all sorts of situations where we cannot trust our senses. And this does not only influence the content of his stories, but also their perspective. To explain this, let's compare Philip K. Dick to The Matrix. At the beginning of The Matrix, Neo wakes up and finds himself in a world that he does not understand. Then, somebody comes up to him and explains that computers have kidnapped all the humans and locked them up in VR worlds.
You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
So, at the end of the first film, Neo has to fight a computer in order to save all the humans. We see what is happening here, right? A world is explained and also what is wrong with it in order to move forward. Philip K. Dick never does this. Philip K. Dick tells his story from the perspective of normal, common people who try to survive in worlds that they do not fully understand, much less control. As a result, there is no way out. That is what makes his stories so dark, so exciting, but also so weird. That weirdness is what makes the story so compelling. But it also makes it difficult to turn them into film. Ridley Scott was the first to take on that challenge when he took the book To Android's Dream of Electric Sheep and turned it into a movie. Mind the differences in the titles. The book isn't called Blade Runner, it does not even feature any Blade Runners. No, the title comes from a different book, it even comes from a different author. Now here, I don't want to go into the years and years of script rewrites and production limbo and the sequels. No. What I want to show here is the radicalism of the choices that Ridley Scott made. Because what he did was basically take one idea from the book and throw away the rest. Out went the empathy boxes, the mood organs and the Andes, and instead Ridley Scott focused his film on Detective Deckard hunting down a group of renegade replicants. And then he took that story element and he placed it in front of the background of a sci-fi film and into the format of a hard-boiled detective. Which, by the way, Philip K. Dick loved.
He was completely blown away, could not believe it.
He never got to see the full film, but shortly before his death, he was invited to a screening of early footage. And he was amazed by the look and feel of the film, the sight of future cities, and the action scenes that Ridley Scott had directed. In the end, Ridley Scott did not only make a fantastic action film, he also provided other filmmakers with a format to transport Philip K. Dick stories to the silver screen. Think for an example of Minority Report or Total Recall. One or two ideas are taken from the book, the rest is thrown away and then placed in the setting of a high-speed action film. And with great success. So, how do the book and the film relate? Well, content-wise just barely. They do not even share the same title. But, in a symbiotic relationship, the film has paved the way for Philip K. Dick's stories to be turned into film. And that has kept the books on the public radar.